Okay, so we're starting with our 2X long number 10 nymph hook and the vise and 140 to near thread. And I'm starting at just about a hook eye back. And I'm going to wrap back to the bend of the hook, which on this hook is about just in front of the barb or about the barb. And then take my thread back to the front and trim off. Actually, don't take your thread back to the front. Leave your thread about the hook. Sorry about that. Leave your thread about the hook point. All right, take your dubbing, and we want to make a dubbing noodle, fairly thin one. If you have dubbing wax, it makes it easier with this Hare E Ice dub, but I don't. So I'm just going to make a dubbing noodle about 3 inches long. It doesn't hurt for it to be a little bit bushy, so that would work just fine. So there, I have about a 3-inch long dubbing noodle. And once you have your dubbing noodle, start the dubbing at the very back of your thread. And just wrap it forward. And I have a little bit too much, so I'll take some of that off. We want to stop it about an eye length behind the hook. So I want a little bit of space there at the back of the hook. Doesn't matter that all these little fibers are out, that's fine. This makes our nice fuzzy underbody for the fly. Now, once you dub to behind the eye, I'll wait and let everybody get dubbed up here. We're going to wind up whip finishing right behind the hook eye, so we need to leave a little room. Once you finish dubbing, move your thread back to just a little bit less, just open spiral out, a little bit less than halfway back. Not real critical, somewhere about there. Let your thread hang there. Not very close. I guess they're having a late party. Now, take your tan strip, fold it in half, and cut it in half. So now you have 2 pieces, roughly 1.25 inches. Now notice, I'm going to show you this one without the wing. Notice the shape of the tail on this. We want to trim our one end of our tail, kind of that long triangle, but make a blunt triangle. Notice it's flat at the top, so don't trim it to a point and leave it kind of blunt. And those sides are about maybe 3/8 of an inch. And they make cutters. Oh, by the way, Jim, your cutter wouldn't cut this foam.
Yeah. Ain't big on it. I mean, I thought you'd try. I couldn't get to that either. I tried to.
So that's close enough. I'm going to even it up just a little bit. I like my points to be even, but if they're not, that's fine too. So we have roughly a stubby triangle for our tail. Now we're going to tie this down on top of the hook. And I want the tail to extend back a little. Here's the back of the hook where my scissors are. I want it to extend back just, another 1/8 of an inch or so. If you want something to measure by, when you push it down around the hook bend, it should go down, a little over halfway down. And we're going to tie it there. Now, if you tie this pattern at home, there's another step that you need to do that we're not going to do here tonight. You need to soak this front section of the dubbing from the thread to there with super glue. Otherwise, it will spin on the hook. The foam body will spin on the hook. Now I'll show you where to put the super glue later when you get home on this one, so it won't spin on you. But so we want it to extend about like that. It's not critical. It's kind of like where you want it to be. And we take a couple of loose wraps of thread, just a couple of loose wraps, and then cinch down on that and tighten it, and take 2 or 3 more tight wraps. Already starting to look off. Now, if you had wanted to do a 2-segmented body, you would have brought your thread back to here, tied it there first, and then brought your thread to here and tied it there, and I would have had, a segmented body like that. But I like that kind of one segment. So hold your foam back and move your thread to behind the hook eye, just a little bit behind, not up against the hook eye, but just kind of in that bare space there.
Part that's supposed to be bare.
It's part that's supposed to be bare, yeah. And we're going to tie our foam down there as well. Again, 2 loose wraps. 1, 2, tighten down, and a couple of tight wraps. Now this head might be a little small for our prefer, so what that means is I probably didn't have my thread back quite far enough here. Because that's a pretty small section. Probably should have had it about right there, but it's fine, little fish. Okay, once you get that tied in, make 1 diagonal wrap. I'm gonna let you look at the top. 1 diagonal wrap across the top, and bring your thread back to that first tie-in point. So I just made 1 diagonal wrap across the top, and my thread's there at the first tie-in point. Okay. EP fibers. And now wing is next. So you can just take that entire piece of EP foam or fiber and hold it to where the bulk of the fibers are, maybe just a little bit past the tail, at the end of the tail. We're going to trim it, but we want to have enough to trim it square. Take about, 2 or 3, 2 wraps is plenty, really. 2 wraps there.
How much do we want sticking out?
Just past the tail, Frank. We're going to trim it just short of the tail, but so we'll have enough fibers to trim short of the tail. Here at this point, have it extend back just a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to pull this, and don't tie it yet. We're going to pull this front section back, but you don't want to pull it back and just wrap thread here because it doesn't get on top of it. When you pull it back, push it back forward just a little bit to where you can get your thread kind of on top of it. Like I'm not doing here, like that. So just catch the front of it. Make sure you catch the front of that top piece. It doesn't take many thread wraps, just a couple. You could do this with 70 denier thread. We're using 140 here, just to make it a little bit easier to clamp down on it, but you could use 70 denier as well. Then take your scissors and just short of the tail, the end of the tail, just trim that. Yeah, and it's just a little bit. It's not critical. It's just The wing doesn't really, I don't think fish see the wing. It's just something for you to see it in the water.
Yeah, got an indicator.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Now it's really going to look like a hopper after this. Take your front piece of foam in front of the hook eye, pull it back tight. Just like we did before, take a couple of loose wraps, then tighten down on it. And it's starting to look like a real hopper. And don't take too many thread wraps. We want you don't want to build up a big thread there. Now, one thing I do want to do is, I don't know if you remember from when we've tied other foam patterns, notice how thin that gap is right there. I'm going to tie my legs on that side. And if I leave that thin gap there, those legs are going to fold together and the two of them are just going to stick straight out. In other words, they won't be splayed out like these are. They would just be sticking, the two of them would just be folded together and sticking straight out. So take your thread and holding your foam back, just kind of try to catch a little bit of that foam. See how I'm catching just a little bit of it there? Just catching just a little bit to make kind of a flat spot in. And the wider that flat spot, the more the legs will splay out. And that's probably fine there. Now let's trim this little piece. You want it to be about the same length as your head. So, and again, it's not critical. So somewhere about there, and I did not trim it straight. So something like that, you see they're roughly the same size. And then to use the technical term for this next cut, let's dog ear this. You don't have to do that, but I like the way it looks when it's dog eared like that. All right, good so far? All right, legs are next. So out of your little bunch of 4 legs, pull 2 of them off that. And if you have trouble getting them apart, take a needle or a bodkin or something and separate them. But we want 2 of those segments that are about an inch, inch and a half long. And Peter, I don't remember how I packaged yours, so.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Separate the two.
Separate the 2, so they're separate. Now we're going to put them on at the same time. Go ahead and separate them, Mike, so they're not attached to each other. See, so I've got 2 separate ones. I think yours are still stuck together.
Oh, I see, okay, I didn't realize I had a.
Yeah, to count the 4 when I split these, I had to
Yeah,
put my
I thought I had-
magnifiers
I thought
on
I
to
had
do
3.
that. Yeah. Okay, let's hold those legs together. And this is kind of like we've done before. So when we push legs over the top, but hold them together. We're going to do both of them at the same time. Push it against the thread and bring both of them to the near side. To the near side, like that. So they're both on the near side. And you know what we're going to do next. We're going to take the top one and move it back to the far side. So now our legs are in place, and you can check it to make sure they're kind of in that middle section there, and give them a few wraps of thread. Now, if your legs are too close together, like if they're still laying together, what you could do at this point is put a little dubbing on your thread and it would push them apart. But it doesn't matter. Once it gets in the water, they're going to fold back anyway. All right, we're almost finished here. So, all right, take your pink foam. You should have a piece that's about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches long. It's too wide. The piece you have is too wide. So these were already cut and my paper cutter wouldn't cut these narrow pieces. So cut about 25% of the width off of that foam that you have. So it's about, 2/3 to 3/4 the width of my tan foam. Cut about 1/4 of it, the width, lengthwise, Mike, like this, lengthwise. Cut about 1/4 of the width of it. Yep. If you cut it crossways, due to my poor direction, you can go get you another one. And of course, we're just going to lay this on top. And just like we did before, a couple of loose wraps, cinch down, and a couple of tight wraps. Kind of straighten it out and get it where we want it to be.
Thank you for not having it cut in the back side that goes about as long as that little other piece sticking out.
We're going to trim it a little shorter than that, Lindsay, but yeah, if you don't want to trim it, you can put it a little bit shorter. It's just easier to tie if you have a little bit more there. Because I'm going to cut it just a little shorter than that piece, and I'm going to cut the front a little shorter as well. So it's kind of up to you. It's just a little hot spot.
Another thing you can see.
Yep, something else you can see. That's right.
Thanks for not pressing before we tied it on.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, no, it would be pretty small to do that. And then next to the last step is to whip finish our half inch. Now you can certainly whip finish right here on top of this pink if you like to, but we're going to bring it back to the front. Just bring your thread right behind the hook eye, take a couple of wraps, and whip finish back at the hook eye. Two, three, four. And trim it off. The only thing left is to trim the legs to your preference for length. I'm going to trim mine about like that. Like the back one's a little bit longer, but if they foul the hook, you'll want to trim them a little shorter. Yep, there we go. Something like that. And that's it.
Yeah, it
Wasn't as bad as you thought, Frank. See, it goes together pretty well. It's pretty. Yeah, we got another one to do. Now, when you get home, turn this upside down and put super glue along this bottom of your dubbing, and that'll stop it from spinning the hook. Because I can take this and it's just, it just spins all around.
On a roller coaster.
Yeah. And you can tie, this is a 10, so you can tie, they say I haven't tried a 14. This is probably a 12 size here, or a 14 would be much smaller. It's a little bit smaller. Or up to a 6. I mean, that'd be a big old hopper, but that's tied up to a 6.